The galactic community had many rules about humans. They were to be monitored. They were to be kept at arm's length. They were never, under any circumstances, to be left unsupervised with alien younglings. Ilara Chen had broken all 3 rules before breakfast. She stood in the center of Outpost Kepler 7's mess hall, covered head to toe in what could only be described as a confectionery war zone. Blue frosting, synthetic, supposedly non-toxic and definitely not meant for the industrial mixer, dripped from her dark hair. Her uniform was splattered with cake batter, and sitting on the counter, tail swishing with barely contained glee, was Rin. The Vakari cub was no bigger than a terrestrial lion cub, but with crystalline claws, 6 eyes that gleamed with predatory intelligence, and a reputation that preceded his entire species. The Vakari were apex predators from a death world that made Earth look like a petting zoo. They'd conquered 12 systems before joining the Galactic Coalition, and their young were raised in combat creches from birth. Rin was supposed to be in the combat creche right now. Instead, he was licking frosting off his whiskers and making a sound that Ilara had learned to recognize as Vakari laughter, a low, rumbling purr that vibrated through the deck plating. "Rin," Ilara said, trying to sound stern while wiping blue goo from her eyebrow. "We talked about the difference between hunting and cooking." The cub's translator collar crackled to life. Human Ilara demonstrated Earth combat technique. Surprise attack with projectile food weapon, very effective. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of respect among his kind. "I learn much," Ilara sighed. This was not how she'd imagined her assignment as a cultural liaison officer would go. It had started 3 weeks ago, when Commander Jarrell, a towering Vakari warrior with scars that told stories Ilara didn't want to hear, had approached her with an unusual request. His son Rin was struggling in the combat creche. Too curious, too playful, too interested in things that weren't related to battle strategy or kill efficiency. In Vakari culture, this was shameful. A weakness. Cubs who couldn't focus on combat were often reassigned to labor colonies. But Jarrell had spent time observing humans. He'd seen their peculiar ability to turn anything into either a weapon or a game, sometimes both simultaneously. He'd watched human soldiers bond with alien species that should have been enemies. He'd noted their strange talent for finding joy in the darkest situations. "Teach him your human way," Jarrell had said, his translator making the words sound like a command and a plea simultaneously, before the elders decide his fate. So Ilara had taken Rin under her wing, literally at times when the cub decided her shoulders were an excellent vantage point. The mess hall had seemed like safe territory. She'd been showing Rin how humans prepared communal meals, not the nutrient packs the Vakari consumed, but actual food made with care and shared with friends. It was a concept that fascinated the young predator. Then Rin had spotted the industrial mixer. "What is purpose of spinning metal arms?" he'd asked, pressing his face against the clear safety cover. "It mixes ingredients together," Ilara had explained. "For cakes, it's a human dessert, like prey grinding mechanisms? No, well, sort of. But for fun and taste, not for, you know what? Let's just make a cake." That had been her first mistake. Her second mistake was turning her back to get eggs from the cold storage. By the time she'd returned, Rin had managed to open the mixer's safety cover, dump in an entire container of frosting powder, add water from his drinking bowl, and activate it at maximum speed. The explosion of blue frosting had been spectacular. Now, as Ilara surveyed the damage, she heard approaching footsteps. Multiple sets, heavy ones. Commander Jarrell entered first, flanked by 2 other Vakari warriors. Behind them came Station Commander Pierce, Ilara's human superior, looking like a man watching his career evaporate in real time. The Vakari warrior's 6 eyes swept the scene, the destroyed mess hall, the frosting-covered human, and the small cub sitting proudly atop his conquest. Ilara snapped to attention, blue frosting squelching in her boots. "Commander, I can explain." Jarrell raised a clawed hand for silence. He approached Rin slowly, and Ilara's heart sank. This was it. She'd failed. Rin would be sent away, and she'd probably be reassigned to cataloging space rocks on some distant mining station. The massive warrior leaned down until he was eye level with his son. For a long moment, father and cub stared at each other. Then Jarrell's translator crackled. "Explain your tactical assessment, cub." Rin's tail straightened with pride. Human Alara teaches that warriors need more than claws, need to understand environment. Mixer is tool. Food is resource. Surprise is weapon. He gestured at the frosting-covered walls. I create area denial system. Enemy cannot see, cannot smell, cannot move effectively through sticky terrain. The other Vakari warriors exchanged glances. And the human? Jarell asked. Why is she covered in your area denial system? She was testing my work. Walked directly into field to demonstrate weakness in my perimeter coverage. Good teacher. I learned from mistake. Alara's mouth fell open. The little furball was improvising a tactical debrief. Jarell straightened and turned to the other warriors. In the Vakari language, which Alara had been studying, he said something that made the other warriors' ears perk up. Then he switched back to translated Galactic Common. The human has taught my son to think like both predator and pack member, to see tools where others see only objects, to find joy in learning. He looked at Alara and she could have sworn she saw the corner of his muzzle turn up. This is the human way. Chaos and creativity, destruction and bonding. They turn everything into either disaster or victory, and somehow they are always both. Commander Pierce stepped forward, still looking nervous. Commander Zarel, the damage will be repaired. Zarel's tone left no room for argument. And human Alara will continue teaching my son. Other cubs too, if she accepts. The Kresh elders believe I am soft for allowing this. I believe I am wise. He looked back at Rin. A warrior who thinks only of killing is just a weapon. A warrior who understands why he fights, who finds joy in his pack, who learns from everything, even desert machines. He is a leader. Rin beamed, all 6 eyes bright. Jarell turned to leave, then paused. Human Alara? Yes, Commander. Next time, teach him human cleaning protocols. He will learn responsibility. After the Vakari left, Commander Pierce just stared at Alara. You just got approval to run an interspecies kindergarten using cake explosions as lesson plans. Alara pulled a glob of frosting from her hair. I don't think that's quite what I'm putting you in for a commendation. Your what? Pierce smiled. Humanity's greatest skill isn't our technology or our adaptability. It's making friends with species that should be eating us. You just befriended a predator cub by having a food fight. That's the most human thing I've ever seen. As he left, Alara looked at the mess hall, then at the counter where Rin had left tiny frosting paw prints leading to the door. Tomorrow she'd have a cub to teach. Probably several cubs, knowing how word spread among younglings. She grabbed a mop from the supply closet, still grinning despite the frosting in her hair. The galaxy had rules about humans and alien younglings. Alara was going to break every single one of them, and somehow, she suspected that would make everything better.